Good morning, good afternoon. Today we are continuing on with our unit. I can classify a triangle by its sides and angles. We've been talking about this recently. It's been in some of our review stuff, so this shouldn't be anything that is surprising and new. It will be an objective on the test. We've had it in our Math 6 review stuff that we've done. We are having it as a full objective because it's that important that we know. You will use this a lot when you get into geometry. So it's super important that we completely and fully understand it. So a triangle is a polygon with how many sides? 3 sides and 3 angles. The angles always equal what? Always equal 180 degrees. It is important that we put the degree symbol. It's not 180 puppies. 180 degrees. Make sure you put your degree symbol. A lot of times when we're looking at triangles, we see degree measurements for our angles and we see side length measurements. It's important that we put, if it's degrees, we put the degree sign so I know that you are talking about the angle measurement. If you do not have the degree sign, it might look like you're talking about the side length measurement and it gets confusing. So always put that degree symbol. So there are several different types of triangles and they are classified by their side names or by their angle names. So it's important to know if it's a side name, then you have to look at the side measurements. If it is an angle name, then you have to look at their angle measurements. Let's move this up. So we have three side names. Our first one is a scalene triangle. What does a scalene triangle mean? Kaylin? It has no congruent sides. We're going to put both. We're going to put the definition and we're going to show what that means. So on the test, it might ask for a definition. It might ask for an example. You need to understand both. The scalene triangle has no congruent sides. So when we're drawing that scalene triangle, you need to know that the sides and it has to be sides. If you give me angle measurements, it will be wrong. Okay, this is a side name for a triangle. You have to put the side measurements. What is an isosceles triangle? Fiona? 2 congruent sides. Then we need to put our side measurements to show that 2 of them are the same, 1 is different. You could do that with numbers. How could I do that without numbers? Lucas?
Definition, or you could just show that. You could just show it.
Christian.
Oh, you could do those line things.
The notches that we talked about yesterday. So if we have the 2 notches, it shows those 2 sides are congruent. So I don't necessarily have to put the numbers on for those measurements because the notches show these 2 sides are the same. This one does not have a notch, so it is not congruent with those 2 sides. Either one is acceptable examples of an isosceles triangle. Lucas.
What if you had a quadrilateral shape and there were 2 sides and then 2 others that were 2 different sets of sides?
So a quadrilateral that has congruent sides, those two are congruent. These two are congruent. So I'm showing the ones with one notch are congruent, the ones with two notches are congruent. Is that what you're asking? All right, what is an equilateral triangle?
The one with all the same sides.
All sides are congruent. So 3 congruent sides. Again, there are 2 different ways to prove this. We could measure each side as all the same, or I could put my notches on all 3 sides. They both prove that all the sides are the same. They are congruent. Any questions on the side triangles? Big thing to remember, what a lot of people were getting wrong on that Math 6 review, is that if it was a side name, they weren't putting side measurements. You have to remember side measurements. And you have to be able to prove it. You can't just draw it. You have to put those measurements in. Now we have classifying a triangle by its angles. What is an acute triangle? James.
A triangle with 2 degrees the same.
Nope. They are not all the same. They don't have to all be the same, I should say. Dominic. I need a little bit more. So we don't have to say less than 90 degrees because we know that acute means less than 90. We know that. So we can say 3 acute angles. Because we know what acute means, we don't have to say that they're all less than 90 degrees. We know acute means less. The important part is that we know all 3 angles are less than 90 degrees. Then you have to show it. So all 3 angles, can I be done? All those angles look less than 90. Am I done?
No.
I have to label them. What do I have to remember when I label them, Grace? They all have to equal 180 degrees. So I could say 40 degrees, 70 degrees, and 70 degrees. Okay, all 3 angles are less than 90. They're all acute. And I add them all up, they equal 180 degrees. What is a right triangle? Jude.
Triangle that one angle equals 90 degrees.
There is one right angle. You can't have more than one, because then it wouldn't be a triangle. If we had more than one right angle, all of a sudden it's not that triangle. So a right triangle has one angle that's 90 degrees. Am I done?
No.
I have to label it. I can either put my square or I can write that this is 90 degrees. Either way is acceptable, but you have to show that you have a 90-degree angle. Am I done now? I have to label the rest of the triangle. It has to equal 180 degrees. So this could be 45 degrees and 45 degrees. Okay, 60 degrees and 30 degrees. I have to label each of those angles. Can you wait till we're done with the lesson, please? What is an obtuse triangle, Damien?
2 angles are bigger than 90.
Can it be a triangle if I have two obtuse angles? It can't be a triangle with more than one. So one obtuse angle. So I have one big angle, and then I connect it. So I could say this is 120 degrees. There's my obtuse angle. I know I'm not done because when I'm dealing with angles, I have to do all three. So that's 120, maybe this is 30, and this is 30. It doesn't really matter as long as those two are acute, they're smaller than 90, and adding them all up equals 180. What is an equiangular triangle? James?
It's a triangle where all the angles are the same.
There are three congruent angles. What? Could I put 40 degrees, 40 degrees, 40 degrees? But they're all congruent. They're all 40 degrees. Madden?
They all have to be 60 degrees from 180.
Oh, we have to equal 180 degrees. No matter what, our triangle equals 180 degrees. The only way for it to equal 180 degrees if they are all congruent is if they are all 60 degrees. So an equiangular triangle has to have all three at 60 degrees. No matter what. Any questions on our angles? Triangles. Jude.
Couldn't you do the like little the curved line and stuff?
Oh, you could. Yes. So just like up here, we could do the notches. Here you can do the arcs to show that they are all congruent. I would accept either of those. Absolutely. Any other questions? All right, let's look at our work for today. On the bottom, they are giving you, it says classify each triangle by its angles and its sides. So you have to tell me what its side name is and its angle name. So if we look at that first triangle, what would its, it's saying angles first, so I'm going to put the angle name first, just to keep it straight. What is an angle name for this triangle, Damien?
Isosceles and acute.
So the angle name would be acute, because that's talking about our angles, and then the side name, I know two sides are the same, so it is an acute isosceles triangle. Wait until we're done with the lesson, please. Okay, so you have to put both, because it says classify by both angles and sides. We need to write both, the angle name and the side name.
Could it be 3 of them?
No. Because you can't be an acute triangle and an obtuse triangle.
It can be
You're right. It could be acute and equiangular. Yeah, we don't have that on here. But that's the only time that you would be able to put two names. Second page. So you will have to finish the first page. Draw the triangle described and label lengths and measures. So you will have to think through acute scaling, equiangular, and obtuse isosceles. You can see angle and side, angle and side. Uh-oh, I look at equiangular. It doesn't have a second name to it. It doesn't have a side triangle name to it. Do you think you can figure out how to label the sides for that one? Because they're all what? Well, the angles are, but what are the sides? They're all congruent. So if the angles are all the same, the sides will all be the same. Determine if the given statement is true or false. If false, explain why. Why is that false? So you'd have to look and see if it's false. Tell me how you know that. And then the bottom is the review. So you will notice that we have a lot of time left in class. I don't want us to rush. I do want us to make sure that we are showing our work well. And then I did tell both classes in social studies, bring your social studies book because we'll probably have time to work on your ad poster in math class. So when you are finished with math, pull out your social studies so we can have some work time on that because we really didn't have much work time in social studies class. Okay. Any questions on the end of our day? So this is not social time. It's not be silly time. It's math time. And then we can work on social studies, work on practice work for math. I'm going to be correcting some math packets. I'm going to be talking to some kids that need to retake some of those retakes that they did not pass on Friday. So we can get those practice works printed out for you. Okay. If you are watching this at home, we hope you're well. We hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.